says he will announce his pick for the vacancy on the Supreme Court after Justice Anthony Kennedy says he will retire.
And joining us this morning, our 17 News political analyst, Martinez on the left, Cathy Abernathy on the right. Good morning to both of you. Thanks so much for coming in. All right, Cathy, let's start with you. What is President Trump looking for in his nominee?
Well, a good pedigree, basically, good education, good history on the court or wherever they have been. Most of them have been on the court. And most importantly, someone that's going to go by the basics of our Constitution. This is not a policy shop. It's not a legislative shop. The judiciary has a separate role. They are not the ones that write law. They interpret law. And so that hasn't been the agenda for the opponents on this. They're looking for they like the fact that the Supreme Court has sometimes, under some makeup of members, legislated from the bench. And that's not what President Trump or I believe the majority of American people are looking for.
Mark?
Well, I think what we should be doing is we should be waiting. If you look at what we have coming up, President Trump is under investigation for perhaps the greatest political crime in American history. And what he's going to do is appoint somebody who's going to sit on the bench and sit in judgment of him. We need to slow down a little bit on this. This does not have to be done so quickly. And more importantly, we've got a situation where President Trump does have a litmus test. Sure, he gave the names of people he would consider, but the reality is you have people up there who are going to be strident conservatives. They're going to go after Roe v. Wade. They're going to go after personal rights in the people in the LGBT community. And so I think we should be slowing down. We're not going to slow down, but it's going to be interesting to see who he picks.
When you say slow down, what do you mean slow down? Do you think that
let's wait till after the elections.
Okay.
Just be very clear about that. Wait till after the elections. Again, the Republicans were the first to do this under with President Obama and said, hey, President Obama had almost 2 years left on his term, at the end of his term, and they said, let's wait. Well, keep in mind, President Trump was not elected with a majority, and so the fact that he's under this cloud of suspicion, and we don't have to move so quickly.
So, Cathy, how is this different than when Republicans insisted on waiting on President Obama's pick?
Right, there was a big difference. There was a big difference.
What is that difference?
Because it was during the election year, 2016. This is the 18 months into Donald Trump's 4-year term. He doesn't have to wait on every other election. An election for presidents happened. What the Democrats really want is the president to nominate someone that agrees with the beliefs of the person who lost to Donald Trump. And that's not what you get. The president nominates someone that he agrees with on most issues and on philosophy. So to make the argument that somehow Donald Trump's going to be impeached, which I know is the Democrats' agenda, and that we have to have a Supreme Court that'll stick with the Democrats on that, that's absurd. We have a country we still have to run.
Now, but are Democrats waiting for the midterm election because of the Senate? Are they looking to pick up those extra seats to have a majority?
Well, absolutely. So the Democrats would like to believe that they're going to gain control of the House or the Senate. But the reality, first and foremost, is that Donald Trump did not win. He's still under a cloud of suspicion. And so even with the Electoral College votes, and where Donald Trump is right now, he still does not have the majority of the American public behind him. And then the fact that we're only a few months away from the next election, I think it's better to wait and see where the American public are on this issue right now. And matter of fact, I think it's pretty clear. They don't want somebody who's going to be strident. They don't want somebody who's going to take away Roe v. Wade. They don't want anybody that's going to be taking away individual rights. And I think that's what's going to happen with the
Well, I got to break the news to you. Donald Trump was elected, and it was legal, and he's our president. And
we don't know about the legality just yet.
And Democrats are trying to reverse that. But let's also remember that Roe versus Wade was policy, and that's always been the conflict over this issue. Democrats haven't succeeded in the legislature on those issues. Supreme Court gave them one, so that's all they talk about. But I don't believe the American people, everyone's thought is, oh my gosh, Supreme Court, let's talk about abortion.
Okay, really quick though, let's talk about the critical swing vote here. Kennedy was seen as a key decision, a key vote on immigration issues, gay rights, abortion issues. Is this significant for the Supreme Court?
And I think everybody understands that we're going to lose somebody who's at least been thoughtful. I mean, I might not have agreed on a good number of his decisions, but he did put a good deal of thought. If you look at what's happening with his most recent appointment with Gorish, it's obvious where he's at. He's going to be on the far right of everybody, with a possible exception of Thomas. But the fact of the matter is that we don't need somebody who's going to take this country back by 3 or 4 or 5 decades, and that's what I think Donald Trump is looking at doing.
All right, so we have less than 12 hours until we do hear the president's nominee, so we will look forward to that, and then we will follow up with you guys, and we will continue to follow this story for you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Cathy.